This week I'm going to discuss Christianity in the American Revolutionary Era. For this project I read Elias Buno, Presbyterians, and the Quest for a Righteous Republic. In this article it's very straightforward. It gives you an idea of who Elias Buno was and how his theology and beliefs motivated him in the political sphere. Elias was a Presbyterian and a representative from Pennsylvania. And so throughout this video, I'm going to use him as an example of Christianity in the American Revolutionary Era. First of all, during the war, how was this war justified by Christians? First of all, as we've discussed in class, and as Mark Noel points out, there's this continuation of religious rhetoric and how this religious rhetoric and the ideas of freedom and republicanism become one over time. Beginning with British culture and the Reformed theology tradition. Also, this is coming after the Great Awakening. You also have religious acts from the French and Indian War, such as the Quebec Act. All of this plays a part in the religious rhetoric of during and leading up to the American Revolution. Secondly, James Smiley points out that the Bible is central to the colonies. And in this, they see that there's patterns in the Bible, such as Israel being delivered, and that's how they saw the war. Also, they also see God's guidance, and that there are covenants, and this forms political covenants that they apply to America. They also see God's sovereignty, and so forth. And that's how they were able to justify the war. After the war, you have the early republic and the formation of a new government. And this was Elias Buno's main focus, because winning was easy, young man, but governing's harder. And in this, Reformed tradition played a big part in the new government. Because for the Christians, they saw that God was sovereign and he was active, and providence will bring about God's will. Second, they also saw man as completely sinful, and because of this sin, that government there needs to be a government, and the government needs to have the power divided, because man is corrupt. And so they have the idea of checks and balances, and that's why Elias Buno was a supporter of the Constitution, and so many other Christians were too. And even the Constitution is modeled after church governing. And so, also, for Elias, the main part was making sure this republic survived. In order for this republic survived, he needed a righteous republic. And this righteous republic was not to establish a national church, but instead was to encourage Christianity so that moral character could be developed, and in that moral character will affect political character. The idea is Christian service. You are serving your fellow man through politics, and again, it's not to establish a particular national church. The idea to making sure that there wasn't a national church was to protect Christianity, not the state. And so this is why Elias was active. He represented, he wrote, and his writings also include anti-slavery positions. And so, what about later in life after the republic is established? Did Elias see what he wanted? Later in life, he reminds people that the settlers fled a persecution, and that America flourished under God in civil and religious affairs. And he warns them that they have turned away from America's first love and the God of their fathers. And he warns that God may have his avenge himself in that. So even after 200 years of the Puritans, Elias is continuing the idea of a national covenant. A national covenant that he thought would survive under a righteous republic that would encourage Christianity to support moral and political character. Thank you.